In the empire of trillions, power is not always won on the battlefield or in the council chambers. Sometimes, the most dangerous wars are fought in silence, behind locked doors, where the fate of rulers and dynasties can shift in the blink of an eye. Brother Day's bedroom brawl is one such moment, a raw clash of pride, fear, and survival that strips away the mask of imperial perfection and exposes the fragile, beating heart of a man who was never meant to lose, to understand the storm that erupts in Brother Day's chambers. We first need to step back into the glittering but suffocating halls of the Galactic Empire. At its center stands the dynasty of Cleons, a lineage cloned from a single man, stretched across centuries, and divided into three rulers at once. Brother Dawn, Brother Desk, each represents youth, maturity, and age. Each is supposed to be a reflection of the same man, yet their differences grow sharper with every cycle. Brother Day is the face of power. He is the ruling emperor, the voice that declares laws, and the hand that enforces them. To the galaxy, he is untouchable divine. But behind the shimmering walls of Trantor's palaces, his life is not as stable as it appears. The endless weight of ruling, the scrutiny of advisors, and the whispers of rebellion press in on him from every side. This is the world of Foundationa, a place where mathematics predicts the fall of empires, where rebellion brews in the shadows, and where even the most powerful ruler can find himself cornered. Brother Day, despite his imperial robes and iron command, is still a man trapped in the machinery of power. And like any man, he has weaknesses. Before the brawl begins, tension is already running high. Brother Day has faced betrayal before from within his own court, and even from within the genetic legacy of Cleon himself. His rule is constantly tested by fanatics, politicians, and even those who share his face. The idea of control is everything to him. Losing it, even for a second, is unthinkable. The chamber in which the fight unfolds is more than just a bedroom. It is a fortress of secrecy, decorated with symbols of eternal power, yet also filled with shadows that remind him of his loneliness. Here, Brother Day is both emperor and prisoner. He is surrounded by luxury, yet haunted by the knowledge that nothing in his life is private, not even his most intimate moments. And this is why the bedroom brawl matters. Because in this private space, stripped of ceremony, the emperor is not a god. He is simply a man whose anger can boil, whose pride can be wounded, and whose enemies know that behind closed doors, they can strike at the very core of the empire. In setting the stage for this moment, we must recognize that this is not just a fight between bodies. It is a fight between ideas, Erisers versus chaos, destiny versus choice, and control versus collapse. The Galactic Empire thrives on the illusion of eternal stability. But what happens when even the Emperor's most sacred sanctuary becomes a battlefield? The seeds of this clash are planted in every betrayal, every whisper, every sideways glance. In the halls of Trantor, Brother Day is surrounded by people who smile at him in daylight but sharpen knives at night. And when the mask of power slips, when the throne's illusions crack, those closest to him may be the ones who push hardest against him. So when the brawl begins, it is not sudden. It is the eruption of years of tension, political, personal, and deeply human. A ruler born from perfection, forced to confront imperfection in the most intimate and violent way. And this, more than any speech or battle, reveals the truth of Brother Day, a man who rules the galaxy, yet cannot even rule his own chamber without blood being spilled. Every storm has a spark. Brother Day's bedroom brawl was no different. The question is simple, yet dangerous. What exactly pushed the Emperor of the Galaxy, the embodiment of divine control, to lose himself in a violent clash within his most private chambers? To answer that, we must peel back the layers of his life, his enemies, and his pride. Because in the world of Foundation, nothing happens by accident, especially not a fight that could shake the Empire itself. At the center of the trigger lies one of Day's greatest weaknesses, trust. For an emperor who demands loyalty from billions, trust is a rare and fragile thing. Brother Day is surrounded by advisors, concubines, soldiers, and spies. They smile at him, kneel before him, and swear their devotion. But behind every bow lurks the possibility of betrayal. Day has lived long enough to know that love and loyalty are currencies, traded and spent, often at his expense. Now, picture the setting. Day in his chamber, away from the blinding lights of ceremony. Here he expects control, silence, obedience. But what he finds instead is resistance words spoken that cut sharper than a blade. Actions that remind him that even in the heart of his empire, someone dares to stand against him. Insult whispered in defiance, a reminder that he is not as untouchable as he believes. Or perhaps it is something deeper, a betrayal wrapped in intimacy. Someone close enough to touch him daring to strike at his pride. The true trigger is not just physical, it is psychological. For an emperor like Day, control is everything. Someone mocks that control, questions his authority, or refuses his dominance in the one place where he believes himself supreme. His bedroom that moment is enough to ignite the fire. This is not just a challenge to his body. It is a challenge to his identity as the ruler of all mankind. And remember, Brother Day is not just one man. He is a copy of a dynasty, a reflection of Cleon the First. Every insult, every act of rebellion, feels like an insult not only to him but to the entire genetic legacy of the empire. For Day, the Brawl is not simply about defending himself. It is about defending the idea of who he is and what the empire must see him as. Flawless, untouchable, eternal. So what was the spark? Is it a physical threat? Assassins hidden? Blades smuggled into his chamber under the guise of intimacy? Was it a heated argument with someone who should have bowed but instead stood tall? Or was it something even more dangerous? An emotional betrayal from someone he trusted. Someone whose loyalty he believed unbreakable. Imagine it. The silence of the chamber broken by harsh words, the tension rising until the air itself feels sharp. A hand twitches, a body shifts, and suddenly the emperor is no longer the divine ruler seated on a golden throne. He is a man in danger, a man pushed too far. The spark becomes a flame. The flame becomes violence. And in an instant, the fate of an empire changes course. But here's the truth. The Brawl was never about the fight itself. It was about the trigger. The moment when Brother Day's carefully crafted illusion of control cracked, revealing the raw human beneath the crown. That is why this scene matters. Because the most dangerous thing in the galaxy is not a rebellion of millions. It is a ruler who realizes, in his most private space, that he can bleed. And so, the bedroom becomes a battlefield. Not because Day chose it, but because the universe forced him into it. The trigger was simple, yet devastating. A reminder that no matter how many titles he carries, no matter how many armies he commands, no matter how divine the people believe, him to be, Brother Day is still vulnerable. The spark has been lit. The Brawl has begun. The moment the spark ignites, there is no turning back. The chamber that was once silent and controlled explodes with violence, as if the walls themselves had been waiting for this collision. The Emperor Brother Day, the man who commands fleets and bends planets to his wills, suddenly stripped of ceremony. Here he is not robed in imperial silk, but wrapped in raw human instincts, rage, fear, and the desperate need to dominate. The confrontation begins not with weapons of war, but with the weapons of survival hands. Fists, words spit through clenched. Teeth. The person who dares to defy him does not bow, does not break. Instead, they stand tall, perhaps even strike first, shattering the illusion that Brother Day is untouchable. In that instant, the emperor is cornered. And a cornered emperor is the most dangerous kind of beast. The air crackles with tension as the fight unfolds. Furniture crashes, symbols of empires scatter across the polished floor. Every blow lands like thunder, echoing louder because of wear. It happens within the emperor's most private space. This is not just a brawl. It is a tearing down of the walls that hold up the dynasty. For if the emperor can be fought here, then he can be fought anywhere. Brother Day fights with more than muscle, fights with fury born of humiliation. Every punch is not just against his opponent, but against the weight of rebellion, the whispers of betrayal, the silent doubts that he has tried so hard to bury. His face, usually composed into the perfect mask of control, twists with something rarely seen by the galaxy. Raw emotion, he bleeds, he struggles, roars, and his opponent weather. An assassin, a rival, or someone once close to him meets his fury with equal resolve. They know that standing here, matching the Emperor blow for blow, is not just survival. It is defiance. It is proof that the Empire's God King is a man after all. Every strike they land chips away at the myth of Cleon's eternal perfection. The chamber itself becomes a character in the fight. The golden walls, the heavy curtains, the grand bed objects, meant to display luxury, are reduced to tools of survival. A chair becomes a shield. A shattered vase turns into a weapon. The brawl is messy, uncontrolled, and brutally human. The Emperor's chamber, built to project eternal calm, becomes a storm. But beneath the clash of bodies and the sound of breaking stone lies something even louder, the echo of meaning. For Brother Day, losing even an inch in this fight is unthinkable. The weight of the dynasty presses on his shoulders, screaming that he cannot fall, cannot falter, not even here where no one should be watching. Yet that is the cruel truth someone always watches. Whispers will spread, servants will hear, shadows will carry secrets. And the fight in this chamber will ripple outward until it touches the very heart of the Empire. The confrontation is more than survival, it is transformation. Each strike forces Brother Day to shed another layer of illusion, revealing a man who is terrified of weakness. His pride battles as much as his fists do. Every bruise, every gasp for breath, is a reminder that the universe does not bow to titles. Power must be fought for, even in the dark. And still, the fight rages. The opponent pushes harder, testing him. Brother Day pushes back, furious, desperate. The chamber shakes with violence until it feels less like a bedroom and more like a throne. Room where the crown itself is being contested. Sweat drips. Blood smears across silk sheets. The air is filled with the sound of flesh against flesh, bone against stone, a rhythm of chaos that drowns out every thought except one: survive at last. The brawl reaches its breaking point. Both sides are battered, neither willing to yield. The Emperor, chest heaving, eyes blazing, stands at the edge of victory or the brink of ruin. For the truth of this confrontation is not who falls to the floor. The truth is what the fight has revealed, that Brother Day, ruler of the galaxy, is as fragile, as human, as flawed as anyone else. And in that fragile truth lies danger. For an emperor can survive wounds to the body, but can he survive the wound? To his image. The brawl may end, but the confrontation will echo forever. The brawl itself is violent, chaotic, and unforgettable. But what makes it truly powerful is not the blood spilled or the bruises left behind. It's what the fight represents. The story is vast as foundation. Every act carries weight, and this one carries the weight of an empire. The symbolism of Brother Day's bedroom brawl reaches far beyond the four walls of his chamber. It is a crack in the foundation of his rule, a glimpse into the fragile truth behind the grand illusion of Cleonic perfection. Let's start with the obvious. Brother Day is supposed to be untouchable. He is the living embodiment of empire, the middle of the Cleon triad, the ruling voice of trillions. His power is carefully staged through spectacle ceremonies, executions, speeches from towering balconies above seas of subjects. He is never meant to be seen struggling, never meant to bleed. But here, in his private chamber, we witness the opposite. The emperor is stripped of ceremony, stripped of robes, stripped of godhood. He is a man forced to fight like anyone else. That is the first and most striking symbol: vulnerability. For centuries, the Cleon dynasty has lived on the illusion of being eternal, untouchable, inevitable. The fight shatters that illusion in an instant. If Brother Day can be attacked here, in the most sacred space of all, then perhaps the dynasty itself is not as eternal as it claims. The second symbol lies in the setting. The bedroom, usually a space of intimacy, secrecy, and safety becomes a battlefield. It is supposed to be the one place where Brother Day can let down his guard, but instead, it becomes the place where his mask is ripped away. This is no coincidence. It reflects a larger truth about power. When you rule through fear and image, there is no safe space. Not the throne room, not the council chamber, not even your own bed. The Empire follows you everywhere, and so does its danger. Now consider the physicality of the fight. Brother Day, who commands fleets with a gesture, is reduced to swinging fists. It's grappling for control and bleeding under the weight of another human body. This is symbolic of the Empire itself. A system built on cold precision and control is collapsing into chaos, forced to fight with primal tools instead of perfect plans. The Emperor's body becomes a metaphor for the state of the dynasty, battered, bruised, and struggling to prove its strength. There is also symbolism in the opponent. Whoever dared to confront Brother Day in this moment becomes more than a single person. They are the embodiment of rebellion, of resistance, of the galaxy's refusal to remain silent under Cleonic rule, whether they are a lover, an assassin, or a rival. Their presence in this fight symbolizes the cracks spreading through the Empire. They stand for every planet that has whispered dissent, every voice that has doubted Hari Seldon's warning of collapse, every shadow that dares to challenge the throne. And then there is the silence after the fight. Once the chaos settles, the room is no longer the same. The walls still stand, but the illusion has shattered. This silence is symbolic too. It represents the unspoken truth that even emperors cannot escape their humanity. It represents the weight of secrets that will leak, spread, and grow. Because no matter how private this brawl was meant to be, the Empire is a machine of whispers, and secrets are its most dangerous fuel. On a deeper level, the symbolism of the fight touches on the core themes of Foundation, the struggle between fate and free will, order and chaos. Brother Day has always seen himself as the one who controls fate, the hand that holds the galaxy steady. But this brawl reveals the lie in that belief. Here, fate takes the form of chaos bursting into his chamber, unplanned, uncontrollable. The fight reminds us that no matter how much mathematics, cloning, and ceremony you build into a system, chaos will always find a way inside. The brawl is also a mirror. It forces Brother Day to confront himself, not the Emperor, but the man beneath. Every strike is like a reflection of his own fear, fear of being seen as weak, fear of being replaced by another Cleon, fear of being forgotten when his genetic cycle ends. This is the most dangerous symbol of all, because it shows us that the greatest enemy of the Empire may not be the Foundation or the rebels, it may be the Emperor's own doubts. His own humanity gnawing at the edges of his perfection. In the end, the symbolism of the bedroom brawl is clear. Power is fragile. The throne may look eternal. The Emperor may look divine. But beneath it all lies a beating human heart, vulnerable to anger, betrayal, and violence. And when that heart is exposed, when the mask slips, the entire galaxy begins to wonder if the Emperor can fall. What else can fall with him? The fight is over. The chamber, once a monument of calm and luxury, now looks like a battlefield. The silence that follows is deafening, heavier than the clash of fists and the shattering of furniture. Brother Day stands, their sweat dripping, chest heaving, bruises blooming across his skin. His opponent, whether defeated or barely standing, has left a mark that no servant, no guard, no advisor can erase. Because the real wounds are not just physical. They are psychological, symbolic, and political. The first layer of aftermath is immediate, the room itself. The symbols of imperial power are broken. A shattered vase, a splintered chair, a silken sheet stained with blood. These are not just objects, but reminders that the Emperor is not untouchable. They stand as silent witnesses to his vulnerability. For Brother Day, this alone is a humiliation. The chamber was meant to be his sanctuary, his most private space, yet it has been violated. From this moment onward, it will no longer feel safe. The second layer is personal. Brother Day feels the sting of defeat not necessarily from losing the fight, but from the fact that he had to fight it all. For an emperor, being forced into violence in his own bedroom is itself a kind of loss. His pride has been bruised more deeply than his body. Every bruise whispers a truth he does not want to hear. You are human. You are vulnerable. You can bleed like any other man. That truth gnaws at him, feeding his paranoia and pushing him toward even harsher displays of control. But the aftermath does not end with Brother Day alone. In an empire as vast as his, nothing stays secret for long. Servants may whisper about the noises they heard. Guards may notice the broken chamber and the blood on the emperor's robes. Advisors may sense a shift in his demeanor, more anger, more fear, more desperation, spreading like cracks in marble. And in an empire built on image, even whispers can be fatal. The political consequences begin to take shape. To the public, the emperor must remain flawless. But how long before the truth leaks into the shadows of Trantor? How long before enemies within the palace and beyond begin to use it against him? A ruler who can be attacked in his own bedroom is a ruler who is not invincible. For Brother Day's opponents, this is an opportunity. For his allies, it is a reason to question their loyalty. And for the galaxy, it is a sign that the dynasty may not be as eternal as it claims. The aftermath also lingers in the emotional space between Brother Day and those around him. If the fight involves someone close, perhaps a lover, perhaps a trusted companion, then the betrayal cuts even deeper. He is forced to question every relationship in his life. Who can he trust? Who might strike next? Every smile may hide a blade, every touch may carry poison. The brawl leaves him isolated, suspicious, and perhaps even crueler, as he lashes out at those who remind him of his own weakness. On a larger scale, the brawl's aftermath speaks too. The cracks forming in the empire itself. Just as Brother Day's chamber is left in ruins, so too is the illusion of perfection that the Cleonic dynasty has projected for centuries. Hari Seldon's predictions of collapse are not just mathematically, they are human. Every bruise on Brother Day's body is another number in Seldon's equation, another sign that the empire is not eternal but fragile enough to be shaken by a single fight in a single room. And then comes the psychological toll. In the quiet moments after, when the room has been cleaned and the emperor is left alone, he cannot escape the memory of it, the sound of fists, the taste of blood, sight of himself not as a god, but as a man fighting desperately for control. These memories linger, haunting him, making him restless. Sleep becomes uneasy. Every shadow in the chamber feels like a threat. Every dream returns him to the moment he almost lost everything in the one place he thought was safe. But here is the cruel twist. Instead of humbling him, the aftermath fuels Brother Day's need for control. Rather than admitting his weakness, he doubles down on power. He grows harsher, more ruthless, determined to erase any sign of vulnerability. Every execution, every decree, every public display of dominance becomes not just about ruling the galaxy, but about convincing himself that the fight meant nothing, that he is still the untouchable emperor. Yet the truth lingers, buried but unforgotten. The aftermath, then, is not an ending, but a beginning. It is the start of a spiral, one that will shape Brother Day's decisions, his paranoia, his cruelty, and ultimately his downfall. Because the fight was not just a physical clash, it was a revelation. Revelations once seen cannot be unseen. The chamber will be repaired, the bruises will fade, the blood will be scrubbed away. But the empire, like Brother Day himself, will never be the same. The bruises on Brother Day's body will heal, the shattered furniture can be replaced, the blood can be wiped from the floor until no trace remains. But the true wounds of the bedroom brawl run far deeper than the skin. They are etched into his mind, into the fragile space between power and paranoia. This is where the fight leaves its most dangerous mark, in the emotional toll it takes on the emperor himself. Brother Day has always ruled with the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. As the middle Cleon, the active ruler of the dynasty, he is not just one man. He is the living embodiment of centuries of control, the face of the empire, the voice of eternity. To the galaxy, he is divine, above human fear or weakness. But the Brawl strips away that illusion. In the heat of fists and fury, he has felt something he should never feel: vulnerability. And once felt, vulnerability cannot be forgotten. The first wave of emotional impact is humiliation. For someone like Brother Day, whose entire identity rests on dominance, the fact that someone dared to strike him within his own chamber is unbearable. He replays the fight in his mind again and again, searching for the moment when control slipped through his fingers. The memory becomes a torment. Did he hesitate? Did he falter? Did he show weakness in a way that cannot be undone? This gnawing self-doubt eats at him, even as he refuses to admit it to anyone else. Then comes paranoia. If it happened once, it can happen again. Every person around him becomes a potential enemy. Every whisper in the palace halls feels like it's about him. Every servant's glance looks like pity or worse, mockery. The chamber, once a sanctuary, now feels like a prison, filled with shadows that might hide another betrayal. He becomes restless, unable to relax, even in the one place where he should be most at peace. The Emperor begins to sleep with one. I open. A man haunted not by armies or rebellions, but by the memory of a single fight. This paranoia seeps into his relationships. If the Brawl involves someone close to him, perhaps a lover or confidant, the betrayal is devastating. He cannot look at intimacy the same way again. Hand reaching toward him feels like a threat. A word of comfort feels like a lie. His heart hardens, walls rising higher around him until no one can enter. Even those who remain loyal suffer under his suspicion. Because Brother Day no longer believes loyalty exists, but the most profound emotional impact is identity itself. Brother Day has always seen himself as more than a man. He is Empire, he is Cleon, he is perfection sculpted into flesh, but the Brawl forces him to confront the truth that he is, in fact, human. He bleeds, he hurts, he fears, and that truth is unbearable, because if he is only human, then what does that mean for the dynasty built on his image? If the Emperor can be broken, then the Empire can too. This realization sparks a dangerous transformation. Instead of softening him, instead of humbling him, the emotional scar twists into rage. Brother Day becomes harsher, more controlling, desperate to prove to himself, to his court, to the galaxy, that the Brawl meant nothing. Every act of cruelty becomes a performance, a shield against the whispers of weakness. Yet no matter how loudly he roars, deep inside he knows the truth. He is fighting not just his enemies, but himself, and that internal battle spills outward. Advisors notice his temper flaring at the smallest mistakes. Guards find themselves punished for failing to anticipate threats that never existed. Concubines learn to fear his touch because tenderness has been replaced with suspicion and control. The Emperor, who once ruled through calculated dominance, now rules through desperation, trying to erase the memory of the night when his mask was torn away. The emotional impact also stretches into the galaxy's future. Brother Day's paranoia makes him reckless. He lashes out at potential threats with violence instead of strategy. He trusts no one, not even those who should be his closest allies. This isolation makes the dynasty weaker, even as he tries to make it stronger. In trying to bury his vulnerability, he exposes the Empire to even greater risk. Because no ruler can govern effectively when ruled by fear. And yet, there is one final, quiet layer of impact. In the stillness of night, when the palace is silent and the galaxy sleeps, Brother Day remembers. He remembers the fist against his jaw, the blood in his mouth, the look in his opponent's eyes, the look that said, "You are not a god, you are only a man." And it terrifies him. Not because it is a lie, but because it is the one truth he cannot escape. The bedroom brawl may be over, but its echoes live inside him. Every decision he makes, every act of cruelty or control, is a shadow of that moment. The Empire may see an emperor growing fiercer, but behind the mask is a man haunted by the memory of his own fragility. The fight has not ended. It continues every day. Inside, Brother Day's heart and mind. And that is the greatest emotional impact of all. The realization that the strongest man in the galaxy, may already be broken by fear, by doubt, and by the memory of a single night. When he was forced to face the truth of his humanity, the moment the bedroom brawl aired, the Foundation fandom exploded. Social media lit up with reactions ranging from shock and excitement to confusion and speculation. Some viewers couldn't believe the show had taken such a raw and violent turn, especially within the private space of Brother Day's chambers. Others saw it as a brilliant storytelling choice, a way to strip the Emperor of his mask and remind audiences that even the most powerful man in the galaxy can be broken. For many fans, the scene felt like a seismic shift in the story. Up until this point, Brother Day had often been untouchable. A man who carried himself with the arrogance of someone who believed himself above all others. To see him thrown into physical combat bleeding, sweating, and struggling was both thrilling and unsettling. Reactions flooded forums and comment sections. Asterisk Theory 1. The Hidden Assassin's Sum. Fans speculated that the fight wasn't random at all. The person who dared to attack Brother Day in his chambers wasn't acting alone. According to this theory, the brawl was part of a larger conspiracy to destabilize the Empire from the inside. Could Demerzel have allowed it to happen, perhaps as part of her own long-hidden agenda? Could rival Cleons have engineered the event? As a way to weaken Brother Day and shift power toward Brother Dawn or Brother Dusk? This theory painted the fight as a political assassination attempt disguised as a brawl. Theory 2. Brother Days. Humanity Exposed. Another popular theory was that the fight symbolized the slow collapse of the genetic dynasty itself. Fans argue that the brawl was less about who won or lost and more about what it revealed. That Brother Day, despite his cloned perfection, was still deeply human. He could bleed, falter, and break. This theory suggested that the fight foreshadowed the eventual end of the dynasty, because once the illusion of godhood is shattered, the Empire's entire foundation begins to crumble. Theory 3. A Test of Loyalty 1. Of the more fascinating fan theories was that the brawl was never meant to kill Brother Day at all. Instead, it was a test trial designed by Demerzel, or by Brother Day himself, to determine who could be trusted. If the fight was staged, then the real question becomes, who knew the truth and who didn't? Fans debated endlessly whether the brawl was genuine chaos or carefully orchestrated theater designed to flesh out. Hidden Enemies. Theory 4. The beginning of Day's downfall. Perhaps the most widespread theory was that this brawl marked the beginning of Brother Day's ultimate downfall. Fans pointed out that great empires rarely collapse from outside attacks. They crumble from within, starting with the moment when their rulers show weakness. To many viewers, this was that moment. The fight would echo into every decision Brother Day made afterward, leading him down a path of paranoia, cruelty, and eventual self-destruction.